Cardi B and all these women that out there doing all this disgusting stuff on TV and all that, and just to try to get some, I don't know, just to try to get some sort of fame, and
Mm-hmm.
it's they pay for it. You know what I mean? They pay for it in the long run. You know what I mean? Look at Cardi B now. That her husband was cheating on her, and she haven't been married, and she got a kid by this dude, and they getting a divorce already after what? They've been married a few months.
Mm-hmm.
A divorce already.
Yeah, yeah. And she
But
and
I think
she thought the sky was the limit. She was so happy. She was talking about it. Oh, I'm engaged,
Mm.
and now she's right back to being unhappy because look, if she was a decent woman, he wouldn't be. I don't think he wouldn't be doing that to her if she was
man,
decent.
did you see the woman he cheated with?
Probably look horrible.
She would no, she's a pretty woman, but she ain't what you would call. She knew this man was married. That's him, and we can't blame that on the woman. That was him.
Mm-hmm.
That was him.
But these
Good women get cheated on all the time. Well, it really don't make no difference.
but these women are not good women.
Well,
These women are not good women. Homebreakers are not good women.
yeah. What I'm saying is, the women that you consider good, they might get cheated on faster than Cardi B would.
But that's true. But to see those men end up going right back to those good women though. If you notice that they don't leave their good women like that. They'll cheat on them, but they'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I got a good woman. I ain't losing that. I know a lot of men would threaten the chicks that they be cheating with. They be like, yo, don't come by my house. Don't call me. Don't call my home or nothing, because I ain't losing my wife. But they'll lose. They're willing to lose a hoe.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. But
But
why
he's
they
a
cheat?
hoe.
Why? Yeah, that's what he is. Why is he cheating?
Right.
He must not think she's too good if he's out there.
Yeah.
But the point I was making with Cardi B with that woman, she said he done told her how the marriage ain't no good. She thought what she say. She thought that.
Yeah, but no, real shit. Yo, listen to what my brother Talik say, and I got a question for brother Guy. When he say she's a hoe, what make him not a hoe?
Right.
He's a hoe just like she is. Like how she's a hoe. I mean, you sleeping. It takes one to know one.
Hmm.
Let me say this. Ain't none of these people no good. None of them no good. So, but like I said, if a man, first of all, I ain't marrying a hoe. That's number one. And if you know about Cardi B lifestyle, it's disgusting. So she got with somebody that remind me of herself. So she's not faithful because she says she's a lesbian. And most lesbians don't think because they mess with another girl, they don't think that's cheating. So
well, that's another topic. We've gone live. I don't know where my sister is at, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this started because I'm gonna have to. I don't have a lot of time anyway. Anyway, yeah. This is a double subject basically. I wanted to talk to. We want to cover today, and it's Cynthia G. I don't know if many of you know who Cynthia G is, but she's a popular YouTuber, and I was watching some of her videos. She was on another brother's YouTube channel, and they was discussing, and she made the comment that Black people are a lost cause. And she did make some type of reference to the Bible because, it says in the Bible that everybody's not going to be saved. So she sort of interrelated that with what she was talking about, not specifically saying that she wasn't talking about everybody. She was just saying the fact that people are just not going to get saved. And she was just talking about, I guess, people in general. And, Black people, she said, Black people are not, they don't act like they want to be liberated. So that's a subject that we want to talk about. And it's going to take I can't even attempt to begin to speak about the other topic. It's a double topic we want to deal with here, which is they're not even related to one another. But the other topic is my sister wanted to talk about how, because there are people who believe in Jesus, and there are some people who believe that Jesus does not exist, and Jesus did not historically exist. And she wants to show that there is information outside of just biblical scriptures that show that Jesus indeed did exist. So I thought that was something that we wanted to bring up, and she wanted to present that. So I'm not going to attempt to mess with that, because, you know, from my platform, you know, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in Muhammad or bologna sandwich, none of that stuff. And so that's not my thing. But she wanted to talk about it, and I welcome all points of view, all types of ideology here. Now, I do have Christian brothers and sisters that listen to the Realities Temple. I have agnostic. I have different races of people that listen to this ministry for the whole 10 years I've been here. Male, female, gay, lesbian, don't make no difference. I've had all types of people that listen to what I have to say. And maybe that's the reason why my channels keep getting taken down, because I'm able to reach almost anybody, woman, child, regardless of sexual orientation, wherever you may find yourself in life. I'm able to talk in a manner where people can relate. Christian, Muslim, Kemetic, it don't make any difference. And so maybe that's one of the reasons of why YouTube throughout the years find it necessary that I not be allowed to use this forum. But we do have my brothers here. Perhaps we can speak about this till a sister shows up for a little bit, because we don't have a lot of time right now. Maybe 45 minutes probably. And we can talk about this comment that Cynthia G said. She said black people are a lost cause. And I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, there's truth in that, because as a people, we don't act like we want liberation. In fact, as a people, I don't think even many of us in general public, I mean, as far as this black conscious community is concerned, you might say that many of them or us, we concerned with what's going on in this nation when it comes to our treatment and how we interact with this racist society. But our people in general, I don't think it's really a real serious topic of conversation. I don't see it that way. And it's just curious to me. And like I say, it sounds like she's really making a valid point as far as we are a lost cause. You have a group of people, and I want to specify, I want to say that, see, I think, in my opinion, that this so-called black conscious community, the Afrocentric community, however you want to view it, we really are the most enlightened. We are the smartest. We are the ones, really, we are. It's not an individual. It's not Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, all like that. See, we are the leaders. Those are the people, because things aren't going the way we want them. We can blame. Oh, you know, Sharpton don't do this. Farrakhan don't do that. But see, the thing about this is we are all leaders. We are all leaders in our own right. Those are just certain people that stand out. They have a certain position, and we can point the finger at them. You know, Dr. Malachi York didn't do this right, and you know, the list can go on and on. But it's really about us, because we are the awakened ones. We are the ones that claim to be conscious, and that you know better than the rest. So you are the leadership. You are the head. You are the head. So there's a certain responsibility. And so in the general masses, I don't expect to view them or see them in a mindset where they wish to be liberated, because they was born into a racist society. That's all they know. They deal with it and they die. That's the mindset. Liberation, whatever, you know. It's not, you know, it's nice, you know, they talk about Dr. King a little bit, make them feel good, whatever. But in general, you know, I'm going to rap. I'm going to you know, make my money, my drug deals, however. They just live and do what they need to do in this society, and they die. They don't care nothing about the future of their babies, not really. You know, they really don't. So, you know, because they don't have that mindset. This is all that they know. They live and they die. Simple as that. That's their mindset. So Cynthia G is making a valid point when she talks about we as a people don't care about liberating. But see, at the same time, what do you expect from people who just came out of slavery? Slavery really wasn't that long ago. The last recorded slave, they said, that died, I think it was in the 1930s. That was the last physical slave, they said, died in the 1930s. The child of a physical slave, they said that the last child of a physical slave died in 2002. And see, that what kills me when a lot of these old racist Caucasian people always say, oh, you know, slavery was a long time ago. What y'all complaining about slavery? No, well, slavery can't be that long time ago when the last child of a physical slave died in 2002. So it wasn't a long time ago. And then they just completely ignore Jim Crow, the Black Codes, the bombing of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and some other atrocities that we've suffered here. It was not a long time ago. When Dr. King listed about 50 years, when our brothers and sisters was on the battlefield getting bit by dogs sprayed with water hoses. That's not a long time ago. And what is a long time ago? What do you mean by a long time ago? The Revolutionary War was a long time ago. Y'all ass keep talking about that every chance you get. You know, Barack Obama was president. Still talking about him, but that was a long time ago. You know, that dude served his time, he's gone. Long time ago. What do you mean by a long time ago? A long time ago, according to what time period? You know, a fly can live basically 6 weeks. So 1 week is a long time for a fly. So, I mean, what is your criteria? What do you mean by a long time ago? Long time, you want to use the term long time ago because you don't want, as the children of these people who are created, who done these atrocities, you don't want to accept the responsibility for what your ancestors done. That's the problem. That's why you want to talk about, that was a long time ago. You don't want to accept the responsibility. Well, that was them. Right, that was them. So if that was them and they created a certain amount of money or a certain amount of wealth or a certain amount of power, then you're living off of it. You're living off that wealth and that power. So that means you are an accessory to what your ancestors done. I didn't have no part of it. No, you are an accessory to it, and you benefit from what your ancestors done, because if you really felt that way, then you would give it all that up, and you would share that wealth with the victims of your ancestors, but you don't, because you really enjoy the spoils and the activity of your ancestors that put you in this position where you can say or feel as though that you're superior over others. But going back to our Black people are a lost cause, I agree very much to a certain point with Cynthia G when she says that Black people are a lost cause. However, at the same time, see, for me, there's a little bit of self-righteous behavior going on here, because you know, people always pointing at others. Oh, those Black people, they don't feel like they're liberated. So that means, Cynthia G, hey, what's going on? What's going on? We just got started a little bit here.
Yeah. I'm here now. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
So I had to get on my cell phone.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm having trouble with my laptop. I had to get on my cell phone here. So,
okay, well, it's good to see you, Sister Noel.
Can y'all see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Okay.
Y'all got some other brothers. Brother Craig is here, Brother Bakari, and Brother Guy.
Peace.
Hey, how you doing?
Peace, sister.
How you doing?
I'm great. Absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, so I told him that this was your this was your hangout, really. I just wanted to,
Mhm.
you know, get things started because we really, I told you, I don't really have a whole lot of time, and we weren't going to spend a lot of time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to go through here. And then, you know, this was a double subject, and I definitely couldn't touch the other subject, you know, that
Yeah.
Jesus historically exists. So I definitely can't touch that one. You know, that's your baby for real. I was gonna let it go. Once I said my little 2 cents in on this one here, I was gonna say, well, y'all, you know, see you later. It was nice to be here with you, but I got to go.
I mean, well, I've done a lot of research, you know. I couldn't just take somebody's word for it that Christ was an historical figure. I had to go and do my own research. You know,
Yeah.
even though I grew up in Christianity, since I was a child, I still had questions. I still, as an adult, I had questions. Not as a child. I did not question whether Christ was real or not as a child, but as an adult, you know, I started questioning things, you know, and then I heard other people and what they had to say about the historical Jesus not being a real person. And, you know, I became an atheist back in 2011. And I returned to the church in 2015. But since then, I've done a lot of research on the historical Jesus of Nazareth or the Christ. And I wanted to share my article that I wrote. I wrote an article about a month and a half ago when I heard a cult researcher, Jordan Maxwell, say that Jesus in the Bible is a myth. I had to write an article in response to that because Jesus in the Bible was a real person. He was a real man. He existed in a land that was under Roman occupation, under Roman oppression at the time. And he was a dark-skinned man or a brown-skinned man, whichever one we want to call. Okay. And I'm just going to read some of what I wrote. I've read quite a few works by ancient historians such as Josephus and others who have made references to the man known in history as Jesus of Nazareth or the Christ. Let me start by saying the letter J is fairly new in the English language. It did not originate until the 1800s. In the original King James 1611 edition, Iesus was the name used in the New Testament. Let me spell that. Iesus. The name Jesus was not spelled Jesus during the 1st century AD. Jesus is a transliteration of the Greek name Iesus or Isus, which came from the Hebrew Yahashua. Yahashua means the Lord of salvation. It means the Lord of salvation. The New Testament was written in Koine Greek, which was a language known to the Hebrew Israelites during the time of Christ, which is another Greek term. Christ is the same as Christus, which means the anointed. Recently, I've watched a few of Jordan Maxwell's lectures on extraterrestrials, religious studies, and occult knowledge. I was able to separate what I've researched over the years from some of his scholarship that I did not agree with. According to Jordan Maxwell, who is an esoteric researcher and historian, Jesus was a fictional character. He stated that the New Testament story of Jesus is not historical, but only a work of metaphors. But I'm going to prove that the historical Jesus, the Christus, was here. The Greek name Isus was very common in the ancient world. The Greek name Isus was very common in the ancient world. Let me spell that. Iesous or Isous. There was another Isus before the historical Jesus, a young Hebrew man named Joshua had written about his grandfather also named Joshua Sirach. Isus is the Greek transliteration for Joshua. Let me repeat that. Isus is the Greek transliteration for Joshua. The Greek translation of Joshua's work was titled The Book of Ecclesiasticus, also called Sirach. It was known as the Wisdom of Jesus. This work was written in Greek around 132 BCE. Koine Greek was the only language many Hebrew Israelites spoke, as many did not know how to write in their own native language. Koine Greek was the official language, much like English is the official language used throughout North America and Canada. I don't know the language of my ancestors who were captured, enslaved, and brought to a strange land, many born a century and more after the Greek occupation of ancient Palestine did not know their own native language either. In 332 BCE, Alexander entered Jerusalem, and the Greeks occupied this land for hundreds of years until the Romans conquered them and occupied ancient Palestine. The Hebrew Israelites were a dark-skinned people during the time of Alexander, as well as the Caesars, such as Augustus, Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, and Nero, who ordered a persecution of Christians after he blamed them for the fire that destroyed Rome. The Hebrews were still dark-skinned people during the time of the Flavians, such as Vespasian and Titus. Josephus, who had fought against the Romans in the First Roman-Judean War from 66 to 73 AD, was spared by Vespasian. It was Josephus who wrote the War of the Jews that contained a passage concerning Jesus. Jesus' Hebrew name would have been the equivalent of the name Joshua today. Yeshua was the Arabic spelling for that name also. Yeshua would have been another spelling. Yasha would have been another spelling. That's Y-E-S-H-A. Y-E-S-H-A would have been another spelling. Yasha means save. That's S-A-V-E. In the War of the Jews, Josephus described Jesus as having dark skin, 3 cubits tall, hunchbacked, eyebrows that met above his nose, scanty hair, with a part in the middle of his head after the fashion of the Nazarenes. According to Josephus, Titus and the Roman legions entered Jerusalem and burned the temple in 70 AD. The Arch of Titus still exists today, showing his victory against the Judean rebel armies as they carried away the spoils of war to Rome. This means they carried away 2 important relics from the temple in Jerusalem, which were the menorah and the table of showbread, You can clearly see these relics permanently displayed on the Arch of Titus in Rome today. To the Hebrews, these were holy relics connected to the worship of the Most High. The Romans also carried away prisoners to Rome. They slaughtered many inhabitants within Jerusalem. They enslaved countless others. They made many of them gladiators where they met their demise. And I'm going to stop there. Okay. So, I've done extensive research on the historical Jesus, and I know him to be a real person that existed, but he was a dark-skinned man, obviously. He was a dark-skinned man. The ancient Hebrews were dark-skinned people, So, this white Jesus never even existed. He is a figment of the imagination. This white European-looking Jesus that we have been given was a deception. It was a deception to keep us, our ancestors, subjugated under white supremacy, under a system of oppression. That's what it was. They did use the Bible to subjugate and oppress our people, our ancestors. That's a known fact. But it doesn't mean that Jesus never existed as a real person, as a real human being, as a man that performed miracles. It doesn't mean that just because they used the Bible to oppress our people, that Jesus never, ever existed as a man on this planet. So, any questions?
I have a question. So, according to the information that you have outside of...
Yes, I have a question.
You go ahead.
Could you tell me where you what research you did and where you got the information from about?
Josephus, War of the Jews. Also, let me see the sources that I used. Well, no sources because I remember stuff. So Josephus was a Judean general during the War of the Jews. He fought against the Romans. He too was also a
Say that
dark-skinned
again.
man. I say Josephus
I don't
was
know.
a
Is anybody
Judean
else
general.
computer breaking up?
No, I'm fine.
I'm good.
Josephus was a Judean general who fought against the Romans during the War of the Jews. He was captured, and but his life was spared. They spared him. He wrote the War of the Jews and other works, and within this information contained the historical Jesus. He wrote, that this Jesus performed miracles, that he raised dead persons. He was supposed to have raised dead persons. And they thought that he was performing magic tricks. They actually thought that, okay, this Jesus actually was performing magic tricks. That's what they thought. Okay. So I got this information from Josephus, mainly Josephus, and also Tacitus, another historian. He was a Roman historian, Tacitus. Check out the work of Tacitus as well concerning the historical Jesus. And also check out another work, another source, another ancient source from a man named Mara Bar Serapion. That's M-A-R-A. Last name is Serapion. Okay. Who had written to his son while he was being held in a prison. He said, what advantage did the Athenians gain from putting Socrates to death? Famine and plague came upon them as a judgment for their crime. What advantage did the men of Samos gain from burning Pythagoras? In a moment, their land was covered with sand. What advantage did the Jews gain from executing their wise king? It was just after that their kingdom was abolished. God justly avenged these 3 wise men. The Athenians died of hunger. The Samians were overwhelmed by the sea. The Jews ruined and driven from their land, live in a complete dispersion. But Socrates did not die for good. He lived on in the teaching of Plato. Pythagoras did not die for good. He lived on in the statue of Hera. Nor did the wise king die for good. He lived on in the teaching which he had given. Okay. Mara Bar Serapion was a Syriac, means he was a dark-skinned man. The ancient Syrians, actually were dark-skinned people. Okay. So he was taken captive by the Romans. He was sitting in a prison when he wrote this letter to his son. So that's another source you want to go to also.
Can I ask you a question, sister?
Yes.
Do you know why Socrates was imprisoned?
No, I do. Well, you mean Serapion, Mara Bar Serapion was imprisoned.
I thought you mentioned Socrates as you were speaking when you said something about him being in prison.
Oh, okay.
I was just
hold on for a minute. Let me go back.
At least I thought she
Socrates,
said.
yeah, he said, what advantage did the Athenians gain from putting Socrates to death?
Yes, he was put to death in prison. Do you know why he was imprisoned? Do you know why he was imprisoned?
Because he was teaching against the gods, I think.
Well, actually, because that's where atheists come from.
Exactly.
He was atheos.
Atheo against God, against gods.
He said he found God when he went to Africa. That's when he learned what God was, when he went to Egypt. And nature.
You mean atheists? Actually, the etymology for atheist is against the Greek gods.
I know against
yeah.
Yeah, and Jesus is a Greek name. Atheos, like you just against like government sponsored religion. Basically, atheist is not don't mean you don't believe in God.
No, I said the etymology for atheist means actually against the Greek gods. That's what I mean. Gods, plural. That's what I meant. The etymology for the word itself, atheist, means against the Greek gods.
So what you say? Jesus, Yeshua, whichever name you want to call him. Okay. Would you say he was an African man?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, the ancient Hebrew Israelites were Africans. Yes, they were. I mean, I
Oh,
know
was
yes, they were. And let me explain. Okay, let me explain. You know, I know they done separated the land and call it the Middle East now. You know, but that's part of Africa. That is part of the ancient land of Ethiopia. You know, yes, the whole land is part of Africa. All of that area, the Middle East, all of that is part of Africa. So I get what you're saying. You know, what you're saying is Jesus, you know, Yasha, actually he wasn't called Jesus during the 1st century AD. Yeshua, and I seen the name Yasha in the Dead Sea Scrolls. I seen the name Yasha in the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. Those are some other works that you might want to explore as well. The Dead Sea Scrolls, where I seen that name. And Yasha means save. It means save. S-A-V-E. See, the ancient Hebrew Israelites, by the 3rd century BCE, they were speaking Greek. A lot of them did not even know their own language, their own native tongue, by the 3rd century BCE. Okay? So, and that's the reason why I told you about Joshua, who wrote this book on his grandfather, also named Joshua as well. And that name, he called it, well, you know, he called it the book of Ecclesiasticus, also called Sirach, but it's also known as the wisdom of Jesus. See, that name is common even before the biblical Jesus. That name was already common in the ancient world. Isus, the Greek transliteration for the Hebrew name Yahushua, which would be Joshua in the English language today.
I got you.
The name, I understand, you know, where you're coming from. I get what you're saying. You know, Jesus, no, it did not, they did not call Jesus by that name. No, not by that name during the 1st century AD. You know, like I said, the letter J is a new invention of the English language, and it just came about in the 1800s. The original 1611 King James Version did not have the letter J in the Gospels. It had I-E-S-U-S.
Now, can I ask you can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you follow the King James?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But I also read the New International Version as well.
Okay, now we can. I'm just asking. You know, we
Yes.
on here. I'm on the show. I'm on the panel, so you know.
Yes.
I'm going to ask. Okay, the King James Version was started. They started writing it in 1604, right?
Yes.
And finished writing it in 1611, right?
Yes, it was published in 1611.
It was finished. Yeah, when it was finished in 1611, right? Yes. Do you think it's possible that our people, we were enslaved, not just here in all the Americas, we were enslaved basically around the world, Europe, everywhere, right? Do you think it's possible that some people could have taken that Bible and rewrote it to make it benefit a certain group of people?
I'm gonna tell you it is. I do believe that there are some words that were wrongly translated. I do believe that. I believe that there were some words that were wrongly translated or mistranslated. Okay? There were some words in the Bible mistranslated. Like, for instance, Genesis, in the Hebrew Bible of Genesis, okay? Chapter 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Well, in the Hebrew Bible don't say God created the heaven and the earth. It said the Elohim created the heaven and the earth. The King James Version say God created the heaven and the earth. However, the Hebrew text of Genesis says that the Elohim created the heaven and the earth. Elohim is plural for gods, okay? Now, later on in Genesis, it says, let us make man in our image after our likeness. the emphasis is on the word us. It said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Meaning there were more than one that was responsible for the creation of the Homo sapien, human. So that's why I said, yeah, there were some words that I do believe were mistranslated or not correctly translated or not correctly translated.
Do you ever use the term Elohim? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize.
Let me finish. It's okay. It's okay. I'm trying to make a point about something else, you know, because when I found out, I was like, wow, you know. But also the verse says, and the earth was without form and void. The second verse says, and the earth was without form and void. But see, the Hebrew text says, and the earth became a waste and a desolation. See my point? Like that's just way, you know, that's just not even the same thing there. Like the earth was formless and voidless or whatever. But the Hebrew Bible says that the earth became a waste and a desolation. See what I'm saying? Meaning something happened. Something happened that caused total destruction upon the former earth. You understand what I'm saying? There was total destruction upon the former earth that occurred. Okay?
I got
You got me? You got me. I'm trying to explain it the best way I can.
I got you.
I have a question.
You know, I said that to say, you know, yeah, there are some things that was mistranslated. Yes, I do believe that. I do believe that. Okay. Now, what was the second point of your question? What was the second question?
I'm gonna let God go ahead and ask because I've been asking questions and they haven't been speaking. Go ahead, God.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, because you know I used to believe in this Jesus thing too myself. But the thing is, you know, if you notice the Bible or the Torah or the Quran or whatever there's books out there, there's no dates, there's no times, there's no references. So we don't know who's writing these books. We don't know exactly what went on. There's no burial grounds of these people. These people do not exist. You can't even find Moses' body. You can't find Peter's body. And all these names are European names that you see in the Bible, right?
Yes.
So even in the Torah, because I asked this white guy, he's Jewish, and I asked him the same type of questions, and he you know, he can't answer the questions either, and he's Jewish. He believes everything that's in the Torah.
He's white European Jew.
He's a white European, he's an Orthodox Jew. And I asked him these same questions. And of course, he's a little racist, and I know he's racist because he don't acknowledge Africa. He can't even acknowledge that Moses, according to the Torah, he learned all his knowledge and wisdom in Africa. It's facts.
Well, actually, Moses was a dark-skinned man, but go ahead.
Right, we understand that. You know, because he fit in with the pharaohs. We already know that. But the thing is, the Torah and the Bible do not give credit to Africa. So because everything is Africa it was a civilization of mankind, was the first civilization. These is what the spirituality come from. Now you talk about, you know, everybody know of the word Haru. Haru is the falcon with the man's body or whatever, human body, right? Now black people knew that these are mythical people. We knew that these people were fake. These gods are fake. But these are spiritual, these was a way of getting through life. You know, these are symbols. They were symbols. That's all it was. So Haru, what the Greeks call it Horus, it means savior. It means savior. And this is the reason why the Europeans, Constantine and these guys, they went to Africa and they took all this stuff and humanized it. So this is the reason why you got the Jesus and he walked the earth and all that. But black people, we don't believe in that stuff. We believe these people, we believe we connect man with nature. And that's what it was. And they looked at this as symbols. But we know these people wasn't real. Like the man, the god Kanu. I know Bakari's and Craig know about this. But the god Kanu, he made man out of clay. He was a god of that made pottery. That's all it was. But the white man took it and said, oh man, the man came from the ground and God made man. No.
The story is that extraterrestrials came down to this planet hundreds of thousands of years ago and engineered Homo sapien humans. They spliced the DNA of the original human, okay, with their own DNA, and they made Homo sapien humans. There were humans that existed before Homo sapiens. You know, there were other Earth cycles before this one. You understand? There were previous Earth cycles or ages before this one. Mm-hmm. The ancient Mayans and the Aztecs said that this is the 5th Earth age we're in now. You know, we're actually in the 5th Earth age, you know, and I believe it. I just got to be honest. I believe it, you know.
Queen,
but yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you was done. I apologize. I thought you was done. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you know, I was responding to his message, you know, when he was saying that we knew that these were mythological beings. You know, he said that the Greeks called him Horus, you know, the ancient Egyptians called him Heru, you know, and we understood this to be, you know, mythological beings. Maybe they were, and maybe they weren't, because I mean, we really don't know. I mean, we didn't live during that time period, so we don't know. I did not live in the 1st century AD in order to see the physical Jesus, you know. I did not live during that time in order to see it myself. However, I can only rely on the records, the ancient records that I have read. And according to the ancient records, Christians were being persecuted in the 1st century AD. The Emperor Nero persecuted the Christians. He blamed them for the fire that he himself set in the city of Rome, okay? And he persecuted them from 64 AD until he committed suicide, basically. He committed suicide in 68 AD. But there are records to indicate that the Christians existed in the 1st century. So Christianity... Basically, he committed suicide in 68 AD. But there are records to indicate that the Christians existed in the 1st century. So
I gotta mute their mic.
Somebody need to mute their mic.
All right. Sorry about that.
Hey, the dude just came. Oh yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, sister.
Okay.
Yeah. So
hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here. Am I here?
Yeah, you good. You good.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know, I was saying, you know, that, you know, okay, you know, maybe they were mythological, you know, beings, or Heru or Horus or whoever you're talking about. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were ancient extraterrestrials. Maybe they were, because we've had ancient visitors.
Can I make a statement?
We've had ancient visitors.
I'm sorry.
Yes, we've had ancient visitors that came down and gave mankind technology. We've, you know, even the book of Enoch talk about these ancient visitors. They called them watchers. They were watchers, you know. He talked about how, you know, there were 200 of them that descended upon the mountain, and they wanted to cohabitate with the human women. That was what they wanted to do. They wanted to cohabitate with the human women at the time. Okay, you laughing, but I'm so serious right now. This is not a laughing matter. We're talking about ancient visitors from another world. And there are ancient records to indicate that the ancient visitors came to this planet hundreds of thousands of years ago. But the people called them gods. You know, they were gods to the prehistoric peoples of that time, because they had technology, because they looked different. So, you know. Okay, go ahead.
Now, can I heard you say you believe in like maybe the ancient extraterrestrials or whatever, right? The only thing that people had a right to believe, but what bothered me with that is, right, this is just me personally. whenever it comes to, I never heard nobody say ancient extraterrestrials did anything in Europe. The Eiffel Tower built by the French. I never heard nobody say extraterrestrials came down and built the Great Wall of China. It
I
built
didn't
by.
say that they came down and
I
built
know that.
anything. I said that they gave mankind technology. That's what I
Okay,
said.
okay, okay. I got you.
Mhm.
Let me finish. Just let me finish. But now,
Okay.
when it comes to anything with black people, because we know the first Homo sapiens, according to the science. Let me finish. Just let me finish. Somebody got to turn their got to mute their mic.
Yeah,
Because we know the first
mute your
Homo
mic,
sapiens. Got to mute your mic. Let me finish. Just let me finish. Somebody got to turn their got to mute their mic. Yeah. Because we know. Okay.
Okay.
No, and what I was saying is when it comes, according to science, the first Homo sapien, which is what we are today, without a doubt, migrated from Africa over 70,000 years ago. So it took the extraterrestrials to come and make the African people. It took the extraterrestrials to come, as some people say, to build the pyramids and everything like that. We have to stop giving credit to
But
all of these.
I did not say that.
Yes, you said you believe, and you said something about they spliced the DNA, and that's where Homo sapiens come from.
Homo
Was the ancient?
sapiens. And
Yeah,
I also said that there were humans that existed before Homo sapiens.
but I'm talking about the Homo sapiens. I ain't worried about those humans. I'm just talking about the Homo sapiens right now, right? Because we know the first Homo sapiens, which is what we are today. Like I said, migrated from Africa, and we tend to give
But
outside
okay,
sources.
but dark-skinned people existed before the Homo sapiens. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Dark-skinned people
Okay,
existed before the Homo sapiens.
all right.
These white people are a new invention here. That they just came up on the scene. When I'm talking about white people, I ain't got nothing against you white people. If you listening, I'm just saying, you all are, fairly new to the planet.
You know, Neanderthals been around
But
for a very
dark-skinned
long
people
time.
existed before Homo sapiens. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You know, Neanderthals been around for a very long time.
Okay.
And they are
But what I'm saying
Neanderthal.
is dark-skinned people existed before Homo sapien humans. Okay? That's what I'm saying.
I got you.
Damn, I got that much.
Okay.
Hey, nobody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. My bad. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
What's going down there, y'all? Now, go ahead, man. I just wanted to check my dang phone because I'm using my laptop in my dang mobile phone or whatever. Y'all go ahead and continue. Go ahead and rumble on, y'all.
Tyler, you want to say something?
I'm sitting in the cut. I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
Hey, sis. Hey, you said at the beginning you said you was a Christian or what have you, and you rediscovered yourself, and then you made a transition from being a religious person, being a Christian. More high and likely the probability you was enculturated just like the rest of us living in this hemisphere of the United States, correct? And then you became an
Yes.
atheist when you made. I mean, that's a big leap of faith. I think you said what in 2000 and I think 2011, 2015 or 2011 you
Yes.
returned back to Christianity, which is great.
No, I said in 2011 I became an atheist and I returned to the church in 2015. But I grew up in Christianity. I grew up in Christianity. That's what happened.
I just want to. I want to understand from it, not from a historical standpoint, but from a sociological and a psychological, what have you. Because can you briefly explain what happened to you from the time? Was you resentful? Was you just? Was there a lot of contradictions and discrepancies that, or what was the reason why you made the transition from being a Christian, a traditional mainstream contemporary Christian, and made the giant leap from being an atheist, and then from an atheist you return back to Christianity and what have you and stuff. Whatever you're doing is great though. That's all on you.
I can tell you why. Because I became angry. Because I got angry. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Because I became angry with the folks in the church. And I had a whole lot of crap to say about the folks that mistreated me, that I thought mistreated me, or whoever. Yeah, that's the reason why.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So
the reason why.
it wasn't a theological
And
doctrine or nothing like that, right?
no, I became angry. I'm telling you what happened. I became angry, and then somebody came along. Okay,
Oh, good. Do
this
your thing.
dude came along. This dude came along and told me some things. But originally, I became angry. I'm just gonna be honest. That's the reason why I said, I ain't going to church no more.
That's the first thing.
I ain't going to church no more.
That's the reason why I asked you the very first word that I said, because when I look at myself from a subjective and my personal progression from where I'm at now, and for my personal progression from the time I went to the conscious community, and then I became anti-intellectual, and then I became, Brother Talik knows I went to school and everything, went college degrees, and I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but I see a relation. I see a similar correlation with myself that I see in particular in the Black conscious community. So that was the reason why I said resentful. That was the first thing that I said is resentful, which is in related that you was upset on the way that people were exercising and exhibiting. There was, whatever. But I see a little thing, because you said it's obvious you kind of opened your head, your mind to a lot of different doctrines, because you said that Homo sapiens sapiens, there was an intervention with aliens or extraterrestrials, correct? Was you listening to things like Dr. York and Bobby Hemmett or Dr. Phil Valentine and other?
I listened to Dr. Phil Valentine. I did listen to Dr. Phil Valentine, and but I didn't really get deep into his teachings. But I did listen to him. I heard a few of his lectures. I just didn't get deep into his teachings. That's the only thing.
Right.
But I've been listening to Jordan Maxwell. He's an esoteric researcher and historian. I've been listening to him, but I also listened to Zachariah Sitchin. I also, read some things he had to say, and then I reread the Bible. I reread the Genesis account. That's what I did. I reread it after, I realized, okay, well, they got a point here, because in the Bible, it says that, it says, let us make man in our image, because I thought about the word us, that's more than one. They say God created the heaven and the earth, but the original Hebrew text says that the Elohim created the heaven and the earth, and the earth became a waste and a desolation. But the King James Version says, and the earth became a formless void. That's what the King James Version says. And the earth, what the scripture says exactly, I don't forget. But it says that the earth became a formless void. That's basically what it said in the King James Version. Okay. So I had to think about that. Something happened on the planet as to why the earth became a waste and a desolation, according to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2. Something had to have happened. So, obviously, I knew that there were people on this planet before Adam and Eve. We've been knowing that, We've been knowing that for a long time, that there were people before Adam and Eve that existed. Okay.
Okay, you mentioned
so
Matt
that's
Jordan.
Nothing new to us.
I'm sorry,
my phone.
Do you when you mentioned Jordan Maxwell, which I've been knowing about him a long time ago too, and Jim Mars and Graham Hancock. Those are very fascinating historians, which is what you call alternative history. Zachariah Sitchin, which was the person who authored the 12th Planet and other series of books speaking about the ancient Sumerians and the Anunnakis and Enlil and Niki and what have you and stuff, and how he was. I'm not gonna get into that though. Have you used other historians that are contemporary, like scholars that are contemporary? Because Jordan Maxwell is more of a conspiracy. He does give a good thing. I won't say sensationalized. He's not like an Alex Jones, but he's more of a conspiracy that speaks about esoteric knowledge. Stuff like you said. But do you use contemporary scholars, academic scholars? Do you use them? Hello?
Sister Nova, I think she's having technical difficulty. I saw.
Oh, okay.
I think she's having technical difficulty. Cause she was.
That's gonna be a hard put. I mean, when you're dealing with like religion and those things rely on personal, arbitrary, and subjective. It's ambiguous. I mean, anybody. I mean, that's why I don't even try to debate people on religion no longer, because I feel in my day of time, religion is a biological human phenomenon that's just a byproduct of humans. It's going to be here. There's no way that they're going to eradicate it. It's part of our life. That's why I don't knock nobody what they believe in, as long as what they do, they exercise, that they utilize and they cultivate it and make enrich their lives, and they permeate that in our lives, in society. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, there's a positive aspect about religion. I know we're very strong critics on religion, particularly how it has hampered and hindered the full capacity and potential of black people historically here in the United States. But it does promote moral cohesion within inside the social fabric. But religion it's ambiguous. People it's you know, and that's another reason what's wrong with the Black conscious community as well. The Black conscious community has anti-intellectualism. They use confirmation bias. They'll talk shit about the white man. Oh, there she go. I thought you had whatever. But I was going to ask you, lady, do you use academic scholars? Because Jordan Maxwell is he's fascinating. Graham Hancock is a very fascinating person. Zachariah Sitchin. He wrote his book back in 1978. He revised, he modified it. I mean, I read his entire series 20 years ago. It's very fascinating. I see a lot of things that were extrapolated by Dr. Malachi Z. York. But do you use contemporary historic and academic scholars? And I subjectively do believe that there was a Jesus that did exist. I mean, you can look at the scholar work of from Duke University named Bart Ehrman. He is a phenomenal scholar in the scriptures of contextual criticism. Oh, she's having problems.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, there she goes. But real quick, do you use academic scholars? Not like Jordan Maxwell and Graham Hancock. Do you use academic scholars to give validity or credence to your claim? Because I do believe that there was a Jesus Christ, but all the mysticism and all those attributes that were placed on him, I don't think that existed. Just the same way I think Martin Luther King did. And then I'm gonna be quiet though. Y'all go ahead and do y'all thing.
Well, Josephus, going back to the ancient works of Josephus, they thought that Jesus performed magic tricks. They said that he was performing miracles, that he was raising the dead. That he was performing miracles, raising the dead. And they thought he was performing magic tricks. I believe it's real. I believe that there was a historical Jesus that actually performed miracles that raised the dead.
There's no problem. But from a objective, realistic aspect, because when you speak about magic in ancient times, first of all, Josephus came 36 years after the death of Jesus. He's not regarded as a universal scholar.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But what he did is he did what they call in scholarship charitable interpretations. Magic, what I call cheap magic, like having pigs possessed with demons, running down a hill, running into the river. That's a form of cheap magic and cheap sorcery. That's a suspension of the laws of nature. I don't believe that God. I'm a pantheist. I'm a pantheist who believes the totality, the whole encompassed universe is the manifestation, and the mind and the thinking is God. That's what I believe in. That's my personal belief. You know, I can't quantify that scientific, even though I am a very scientific person. But Josephus came 36, and any theological regarding the historical validity of Jesus will universally not use Josephus as a valid source. That's why, I mean, when you use Jordan Maxwell, he's not considered. Go ahead, brother. I thought somebody said something.
Somebody got feedback. You talking to yourself.
Oh, well, I got this shit on mute, man. But anyways, man, there's nothing wrong, lady. If you want to believe in that, lady, if you want to believe in that.
What about using other sources like Tacitus, the Roman historian named Tacitus? What about that?
What did he say about Jesus?
Oh, he actually he talked about the Christians, how they were being persecuted under Nero. So yeah,
No.
You know,
There's not questioning that Christians. I think in the 14th century, the first non-Christian source came around, which is very obscure. There's no question that Christian exists, but we're speaking about the validity of the religious figure named Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's no question that the Christians exist.
Okay, but if the Christians existed, that means Jesus existed.
Well, there's a lot of religions out there like Mithra and what have you that centered around figures and what have you, or even like Krishna or Brahma. You know, there's a lot of literature. I mean, there's thousands and thousands.
Did they offer salvation? Did they offer eternal life? Did they offer salvation or eternal life? Did they offer that?
I want to say infinity, that there's a continuous, you know, of infinity in their Eastern Indus Valley religion or form of theology and what have you stuff. So I think what it is that religion, like I was saying before you got cut off, religion is very it's ambiguous. It relies on personal testimony and it's subjective. How somebody interprets it is just like us looking at a cloud, and 100 of us were told to look at the cloud, and to look at that cloud at the same location, Pacific location, looking upward at the sky, and we were all told to look at it for at least 15, 30 minutes, and then once you do it, think deeply, and then convey it in writing, and tell me what you think that cloud is and what it means to you. And I guarantee you 99% of them will arrive to a different thing. You see what I'm saying? And that's and what I'm saying, sister, like I said, I learned a long time ago, because I used to be a harsh critic on people on religion. I no longer do that on the real. And if that's what you believe, I'm dead serious. I'm alive serious. Is that if that's what you believe, I salute you. And I respect that wholeheartedly. I don't criticize people, say, oh, it's wrong, and your theological approach is wrong, and your belief is wrong, you know. But you made the claim inside the realm of reality that you know, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. You see what I'm saying? So the historical Jesus is very obscured. I mean, if anything, they have in historical scholarship about figures that did exist, such as Napoleon and Nero and Cyrus Adaris and Akhenaten and all these other things. There's a lot of things that can corroborate that these people existed. It's very difficult to find any tangible, concrete evidence that Jesus to do. So a lot of times people resort to conjecturalize by using very fragile and minute evidence to say that Jesus exists. But there are a lot of historians that say that Jesus did exist, but not the way it's been depicted in the New Testament. And that's a different subject on how the New Testament is. You
know, around the time of the birth of Christ, Augustus Caesar was in power at that time. So, you know, there's evidence to prove that Augustus Caesar existed. So why not Christ? Since he, you know, was born during the reign of Augustus. You know, what about Tiberius? What about Caligula? What about, you know, the Roman Emperor Nero, who persecuted the Christians? I mean, so, you know, if Augustus existed, then why not Jesus of Nazareth? Why not, you know, if Herod Agrippa, you know, if Herod the Great, that they called him, Herod the Great, you know, if he existed, then why not Jesus? Yeah. And his son also, Herod Agrippa. If they existed, then why not Christ? You know.
Okay.
So, you know, I'm just saying.
It's all right. It's all right.
I mean, I'm, you know, I'm okay. You know, I'm solid. You know.
So was there a Virgin Mary?
A Virgin Mary?
Yeah.
You mean, was there a Mary
A Mary
that gave
that was
birth
a
to
virgin
Jesus?
and God just put a
Was
seed
there
in
a
her.
Mary that gave birth to Christ?
Yes.
Yes. And there was also a Joseph. And there
So
was also his
did she
brothers.
have sex or not?
There was also, of course, she had sex. There was also his brothers. There was also his brothers, his family. Jesus had a family, like we got family.
But according to the Bible, that Jesus, Joseph said he never touched her.
According to the Bible, yes.
Okay, and according to the Torah as well, too.
Okay, so why is it so important that he never touched her? Why? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but why is it so important that he never touched her? I mean, I'm just saying, like, why is that important?
I'm just trying to find out what.
I mean, does it disprove that Christ was born? I mean, does it like?
I'm just trying to. Well, I'm sorry about the Torah because they don't believe in us, the New Testament. My bad. But the thing is, I'm trying to find out which one is it. Did Mary have sex and Jesus came, or did she not have sex?
It doesn't matter. What does it matter? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not trying to be funny. Does it matter?
Yeah, because I'm trying to. If you said Jesus was real, then I want to find out his life.
Prove that Christ was born, though.
Okay. Okay. So
when she had sex, does it disprove that Christ was born? Does it disprove that he was?
Okay. So what year? What year date he was born? December 25th.
Does it disprove that? That's what I'm trying to figure out. You know, I said, none of us were born back during that time. You know, I didn't see Jesus with my own eyes physically. I mean, I wasn't there.
Okay.
You know,
so is it
I wasn't there. So, you know,
did he leave anything behind, like any type of writings? Because they say he was a carpenter. So did he leave any evidence that he was alive? Could you prove that to me?
Did he leave any evidence that he was alive?
Yes, because you're supposed to leave some sort of evidence when you.
Oh, okay. Did he leave some sort of evidence?
Right.
That he was alive? Oh,
it's like if you had to go to a courtroom to prove your case, to show that Jesus existed, could you prove it by some sort of evidence?
Yes, I could actually.
Okay.
By the historical evidence, yes, I could.
Okay.
And also I saw Jesus myself.
You saw Jesus?
I could.
Oh.
Yeah. In a vision. Yeah. In a vision. Let me make that clear. Okay. Let me make that clear.
Okay. Okay. You saw a vision of him. How do he look?
In a vision. A vision.
Okay.
I just said in a vision.
A vision means that you.
I'm trying to get onto my laptop here, but it won't let me.
Okay, so a vision means that you saw him. So you saw him physically.
I said I saw him in a vision. I didn't say I saw him physically.
So what a vision? What does that mean?
I saw him in a vision.
What does that mean? Okay.
Let me explain. Okay.
Okay.
Back in the 1990s, I had an out-of-body experience. Now, let me repeat that. Back in the 1990s, I had an out-of-body experience. Okay? And at the time, I was living in this old house on James P. Brawley Drive. Do you know where that is? It's in the Bluff in Atlanta. They call it the Bluff. Okay? It's a heavy drug-infested neighborhood at the time. And my grandma was living at that time. My mom was alive at that time also. I just want to add that. But I got up out my body and I was going through the hallway in the house. It was dark in the house. I entered my mom's bedroom. I know I entered her bedroom because it was at the end of the hallway. So, I know that. And when I entered, I heard a voice. I'm trying to get on my laptop. I'm sorry, you guys. When I heard a voice, because my cell phone is about to die, I heard a voice. It said, "Come, see, all this power will I give you if you worship me." That's what I heard. Okay. Come, see, all this power will I give you if you worship me. I said, no, I can't do that. That's the same thing you told Jesus. After that, I was standing in an open green field. Okay, I'm almost on. After that, I was standing in an open green field. Don't know whether you believe in visions or dreams or not, but I'm just telling you my experience. I was standing in an open green field, and there was a lot of people in that field. There was a lot of people there. It was a bright day, you know, I do remember that in the vision, a very bright day. And I saw a figure coming down, walking down out the sky, not flying down out the sky, walking down out the sky. There is a difference, okay? Walking down out the sky as if he was walking on a flight of stairs that I could not even see, okay? He walked among the people, he came down and walked among the people in the field, okay? He made his way over toward where I was eventually. And all he did was embrace me. That's all he did was he embraced me. And I knew this to be Jesus. I knew it to be Jesus at that time. I was in my 20s at the time that I was 20 years old at the time that happened. I think I was 20. I'm 44 now. Okay. But of course, I remember it as if it happened yesterday, as if I saw the vision last year or as if I saw it yesterday. So, yeah, I saw Jesus.
Okay.
And I'm not the only one that saw Jesus. I ain't the only one that's had these type of visions. I'm not the only one.
Now, if I ask you, could you describe how Jesus looked? Because I mean, I don't want to go by.
He didn't look white. Let's just clear that up right now. He didn't look white. I can tell you that. That's for sure. That's one thing I can't say. He didn't look white like a white man. Okay. So, but he was wearing a long robe, a long white robe. Yeah, he was wearing a long white robe. You know, and I remember my head resting on his chest. That's what I remember. That's what I remember. My head resting on his chest as he embraced me. That was it. You know, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I can't, you know, that's what I experienced.
So you didn't take a good look at him?
I can't even get into this. No, I didn't. But I knew he wasn't a white man. I knew that.
Hey, brother, can I ask you a question real quick,
let's just clear that up right now. Let's clear that up right now. He definitely was not a white man. Okay. I don't have a love affair with white men, you know. I just want to clear it up because a lot of you know sometimes people think, you know, okay, well, you know, she must have seen a white man, you know. No.
Now
just Google on my laptop, and I can't. Hold on.
Hey, brother, can I ask a question real quick, bro? Real quick, RBG.
Let me hang up because maybe I'll be able to get into this Google once I hang up.
Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Hey, what's the brother with the RBG face on? What's his name?
God, brother God.
Oh, brother God. Can I ask her a question real quick?
What's up?
I'm waiting till she get back on.
Yeah, I'm listening.
No, I'm waiting till she get back on. Brother God. Hold on, bro. Hey, sis. Bam. hey, Angel Talik, you know how it is back in this damn semi, don't you? Boy, I'm telling you, boy, this thing's no bigger than an iodine bottle, brother.
I know.
I got everything in here, this bad boy. I got my 2 PlayStation, my PS4, my microwave.
Oh man, you got too much now. Come on, man.
I got my refrigerator, got my clothes, my wardrobe. So wherever I go, I'm gonna look sporty. Hey, sis, you there? Cause I know Brother Guy got something he has to say, and I appreciate you. I just gotta ask her a question though about something.
What about you got a shower in there?
Nah, I don't got a toilet, I ain't got a kitchen sink, and I ain't got none of that, cuz.
No, you do know it's this sister. I don't know if you ever seen her video. She's 100. What's her 100% trucking, something like that. That she has a channel on YouTube.
No, her name is 100 Real Trucker. She's a female.
Pinky.
She cool. I like Pinky. That's the real thick. She thicker than a $5 honey bun.
Yeah, that's Pinky. Yeah.
Yeah, Pinky with the long. She from Louisiana.
Yeah,
she from the boot. Yeah.
Yeah, I was supposed to get an interview with her earlier. She never got back.
Oh, Pinky, are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still waiting.
Big time YouTuber, man. He used to be in my damn company. He go off on everybody on that bad boy. But I don't want to talk about. I'm waiting for this sister to get on here though, man.
Yeah. We might have to have a part 2 on this one.
I know, brother Guy. Man, what you got to do today? What you gonna watch some NFL? I know you don't watch none of that shit though.
Was that me?
Yeah.
No, I gotta make some moves here on
okay. Where brother Talib at? He gone?
I guess.
Something wrong with his internet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something wrong with her internet. I know her phone went out. She said the charge went out.
Hey, brother Guy, didn't you? I came across. I think I watched African Supremacy. What do you got? Debate. One of y'all were debating Alquan, right?
Yeah.
That shit was funny, man. I mean, it was serious, but it was funny, man. I be saying, "Oh my God, boy!" I tell you, man. Alquan, he's a smart, intelligent brother, though, man. But he just like me. He like to talk shit. Shit. Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if she's coming back on, but what I'm trying to tell her, and I appreciate brother Guy, was that she's trying to establish the accuracy of the historicity of Jesus Christ. Again, I said religion or spirituality relies on personal testimony. It's arbitrary, and it's up to you on it. There she is. Is that her? It relies on personal testimony. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now, what if somebody else believes in Islam in a different sect, whether it's the Wahhabis or the Sunni or the Shiite, or I mean, those are arbitrary things. Now, we can all objectively agree on how this truck engine operates, whether it's a Packard or a Cummins or a Cat motor. We all universally, regardless of where we're brought up at, what culture we're brought up, unless we're living in the middle of a damn desert underneath the rock, we can all agree upon on how the mechanism. There she go. Hey sis, I said earlier, religion and not theology, spirituality relies on personal testimony, and it's arbitrary. Okay. Science and all that kind of stuff don't rely on that kind of stuff. All it does is it's a reliable, valid, a modern, a valid technique to understand the natural phenomenon of this world. There are people in the Islamic country that swore that they seen. There were 10,000 people that swore that they seen the image of Fatima. Do we discount and say that they were wrong? There are people that says they've seen apparitions or paranormal things. It's the same, and a lot of times people, in scholarship, people rely on what they call anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence is saying, well, I was in the Himalayas and I seen a guy who lived to be 160 years old. I seen him, and he lived off of eating yogurt. So a person that observed that man, and they'll conclude and say, well, that person lived 160 years old because that correlated, because that person ate yogurt. So let me go tell everybody, if you eat yogurt, everybody can live up to a good, ripe old age. So what you're doing is that's personal testimony. You see what I'm saying? That's personal. That's something you seen. I don't dismiss that. That's what you seen, and that's up to you. But that does not apply across the board of something that's valid on understanding how a bird flies. You know, somebody in Pakistan or living in Finland or Norway or South Argentina, if anybody had a basic understanding on nature, on how on the mechanism how birds fly, we can all agree upon, regardless of our political affiliation, our social upbringing, our religious background. So on your boat, that's something you've seen personally, but it does not make it valid for everybody to believe that actually happened. You follow what I'm saying? So those things, that's why I don't knock what anybody believes in. I don't do that. When you said you had that visions, I believe that you had those visions, sis. But it doesn't overlap, and it doesn't go across with a lot of people realistically to others as if it's something that is true. You see what I'm saying? Because there's people what
about the many people who have seen visions of Christ, who have seen visions of, who have seen visions of angels, who have had paranormal experiences.
Yeah, there's a lot of. There are people that make claims almost every time that says that they had visions. I mean, we look at the Latter-day Saints. When we look at Joseph Smith, he has millions and millions of followers, and he swore up and down that he had a vision, and he's seen the angel Moreno, and told him where to find the gold tablets or plates, and gave him the ability to translate this unspoken or undeciphered language that was written engraved on the gold plate that gave him the ability to translate it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. See what I'm saying? So those are personal things. I mean,
going back to what you were saying about what's his name, Joseph
Smith.
Smith, yeah, Joseph Smith. What if he actually did saw? What if he did see?
What if he actually
saw?
Right.
That, but they were illusions. Like,
I never gave the implication that he was wrong or right. I said there was thousands of people, and I gave the example. There are thousands of people saying that they seen all kind of things.
Yeah.
Paranoia things, and I don't dismiss it. I would back then. I would have clowned them and all that, but I've learned through my personal journey through life is people are going to arrive, and they're going to see things. They're going to interpret things a whole lot different. Their perception and what they actually experience. I can't dismiss that. And I believe that what you seen him in a white garment, and he wasn't white. And hey, brother Guy, I'm gonna leave that alone, Guy. Brother Guy, I've said enough. Cause I know you wanted to talk to her, brother. Hey, appreciate it, sis.
No, it's cool. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Yep. I just confused on a lot of stuff because I've heard this before, so it's not. I never heard it. Right. People say they saw visions, and because when you say when something is visual to you, that means somebody's revealing themselves to you. So, when I asked her, I said, "Have you saw a good, clear look at it?" Because you could be hugging the devil. For I'm concerned, you don't even know what you're hugging, but you said that's Jesus.
Oh no, I'm not. I wasn't hugging the devil. The devil don't.
So, do you believe in the devil? Do you believe in?
If the devil could kill me, he probably would. I wasn't hugging the devil. I mean, I'm just saying, if the devil could kill me, he probably would do that. So I know I wasn't hugging the devil. I'm sorry, that's funny. I mean, have you ever heard of anybody hugging the devil in person? Like the devil. Have you ever heard of anybody hugging Satan for real? That's the question.
No, I know people. I know a lot of people.
Satan.
Now, I would tell you one thing. I would say this.
That's what I'm saying.
I know a lot of black.
Satan in his true form, that is. Because I saw Satan in his true form. You understand what I'm saying?
But we already know how Satan looks.
I saw Satan in his true form. So.
Now I would say this. Now here's my question to you. If you read the Bible, it makes you wonder, was Satan a good guy or a bad guy? The reason I'm gonna ask you is because when he spoke to Adam and Eve about the apple, right? And the
It wasn't
apple
an apple.
was,
That's not what the Bible says. The Bible didn't say it was an
it
apple.
was a fruit.
But
It was
no,
some
go
sort of
ahead.
fruit.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It was a fruit, right? And
Mhm.
God told Adam and Eve not to eat the fruit on the tree. That's the special tree. That was the tree, what they call the tree of life, the tree of knowledge.
No, it was the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right. So that means the good and evil. That means you can know the difference between bad and good. Am I right?
I mean,
Right.
well, the
So
serpent told
so
Adam. The serpent told, well, actually not Adam, Eve. The serpent told Eve that if you partake of this tree, which was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that you will become as gods,
right,
knowing good and evil. That's
is that
what the serpent said.
Now, is that a bad
Not the
thing or a good
snake,
thing?
not the snake. It was the serpent. You
It
understand?
was the serpent.
Which was, the serpent was actually, a creature that stood on 2 feet, had 2 arms. Yeah, the serpent. Yeah. So Eve was tempted by the serpent. That's what the Bible said.
Right.
Not a snake. Okay, let's differentiate between snake and serpent.
Okay, so the serpent, the ones that walk, right?
I said what?
And
it was a creature. It was a creature that talks like humans. They stood upright like humans. It was an ancient creature that stood upright like humans on 2 legs.
And they talked.
2 arms and talked. Yes, it was an ancient creature that talked like humans. That stood on two legs like humans. Okay.
Okay.
Look it up.
All right. No, I know the whole story, but that's not the question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
The question I wanted to ask you is this: it was called the tree of life. Okay.
No, it was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Not the tree of life.
But I can show you the Bible. They said the tree of life. But yeah, you can know the good and evil.
It's in the Bible. Yes, the tree of life is in Genesis. It's in the Bible.
So that's what I'm saying. It's called the tree of life.
But God instructed Adam to not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Okay, now that's not. Let me answer my question because I'm trying to get to my point.
Okay.
Now, first of all, I want to know what's wrong with knowledge. That's number one. Because I'm gonna say this. Because it's in my perception of it, these guys, Adam and Eve, were very dependable. They were very ignorant. Now, so this is before they ate the apple. So you have the serpent that spoke to them, actually talked. I never heard of any animal that talked, but they said he spoke to Eve and said, "Look."
Okay. Okay.
He said, "Look, if you eat the, of course, he told the whole yada yada yada, where you could be equal as God, blah blah blah." Okay. And he ate she ate the fruit and she gave it to Adam or whatever. They ate the fruit. Now,
yes.
With that, their mind opened. According to the scriptures, they said their mind opened. Now we are as a people.
They knew good and evil. They knew good and evil, like the gods.
Okay, but but even today we know good and evil, right? We know what's right and we know what's wrong.
Yeah,
now
we do now.
Right, but I want to know what is wrong with that. What is wrong with having knowledge? Matter of fact, let me ask you a question.
The Bible states that God created light and darkness. He created good and evil. The Bible states that.
Well, God created good and evil.
God created light and darkness, good and evil.
Now they said God created good and evil. That's true. Now here's my question to you. What is wrong with knowledge? Let me ask you a question. Real quick. If you were starving, if somebody gave you knowledge to rob a bank and get off free, that means you could actually know how to rob a bank and you get that money and without getting caught. Is that knowledge?
Yeah, it's knowledge. Knowledge to rob a bank, yeah.
Right. Now that it might be bad, but you have knowledge. So what is wrong
if the knowledge is used to harm humanity, then it is bad. If the knowledge is used to harm humanity for the detriment of humankind and animal kind, then yes, it is wrong. That knowledge is wrong. If it's used to destroy us, not enhance us, but destroy us, destroy all of creation, then yes, that knowledge is bad.
So learning science and mathematics and all this.
I didn't say that was bad. I said if the knowledge is used for the detriment of humanity and humanity and animal kind, if it's used to destroy creation, then yes, it is bad. That's bad knowledge. If it's used for the destruction of creation, yes, it is bad. If knowledge is used to do evil, to do harm, then yes, it's bad.
Okay. So when Adam and Eve learned how to sew, they know how to weave clothes and all that. Do you think that was bad?
It said that God made them coats of skin. It didn't say sew clothes. I mean, sew whatever you just said, sew clothes and weave something. He said God made them coats of skin. That's what the Bible said. Coats of skin.
What does that mean? What does that mean? The flesh.
That's what it means. God made them coats of skin.
So they
which
need
is
clothes.
this flesh. Which is this flesh. This flesh right here.
Right.
This right here.
But they were naked though.
Coats of skin. What I'm trying to tell you is the coats of skin covers the soul. We have a soul. The soul is an exact replica of the physical form. Adam was a living soul. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Adam was a living soul. So was Eve, okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you, because the Bible says that they were naked but they were not ashamed. Think about that. Think about that. Just that right there. They were naked, but they weren't ashamed. Okay. Well, yeah, the soul, they were souls. Adam became a living soul. That's what the Bible says. But after Eve and Adam ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, their eyes became opened and they became as gods, knowing good and evil. After that, God made them coats of skin. This skin right here, you see it? This skin. To house that soul. We are infinite consciousness. That's what we are. We do exist beyond the physical body. You do know that, right? Okay. We can't exist beyond the physical body.
So do you think
when this body dies, that soul is going on to another realm.
So do you think that when Adam and Eve did something, you think they did something bad?
When they ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I know Guy said when they learned how to sew, and you said they didn't know how to sew, God made them clothes,
coats
whatever.
Of skin. God
but
made
actually,
them coats of skin, which is
but actually, they made their own skirts or whatever out of leaves to hide themselves from God when God came looking for them.
Yeah, I read that. I said God said that He made them coats of skin. That's what it said. God made them coats of skin. I'm talking about this physical flesh.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I was just making it because I heard you talk. Because I heard you talk about that, and it said no. But yes, they did make their own.
Okay. I said God made them coats of skin. That's what I said.
But my question,
of course they had to cover that body up. You know, of course they had to cover up.
And I think
God made them coats of skin. I'm talking about this physical body here. That's what I'm talking about.
I just want to address something real quick. And I think a lot of the times that's why I have a problem with religion, because we so dependable on this whatever it is in this so-called religious being or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we are not focusing on doing things for self. And what I respect about the story in a little bit is because you have Adam and Eve, they want to be independent. We are so dependent on Jesus to do. There's a reason why you got black people don't want to do nothing. I've heard black people. No, listen to me. Hear me out. I've heard black people say, "Oh, I'm waiting on Christ to to do this for me, and I'm waiting on Christ to do that for me.
I didn't say I
Instead
was
of
waiting
just-
on Christ
instead-
to do anything for me.
Well, there's a lot of black people that
What
depend
I'm saying is, you know, and I got to go back to what I originally said. I got to go back. I said, okay, the serpent. I should have said the serpent tempted Eve. That's what I should have said. Okay, I forgot to say tempted Eve. Okay, the serpent tempted Eve, told Eve, God knows that if you eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then your eyes will become opened and you will become as gods, knowing good and evil. That's what I should have said, okay? I left that part out. Now, going back to what you were saying, we become so dependent on Jesus. I'm not looking for Jesus to do nothing for me. I mean, I have to do things myself. I have to, you know, make some good choices myself. Otherwise, I will be messed up out here if I don't make good choices. And, you know, we still have choices. Okay? We still got choices we got to make. Now, you know, some of us, you know, we make the wrong choices sometimes, and we end up messing up our lives off of the wrong choices that we made. Okay? And I got 15% on this phone, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Well, we're getting ready to close out anyway, so.
Yeah, but going back to what I was saying earlier, you know, I still got to do things. I can't just sit back and wait on Jesus to handle all my life's issues and all my life's burdens. And you know, I still have to do things. I still have to make good choices for my life. Okay, we still gotta do certain things. You can't just, you know, God gives us the wisdom to think. That's what I believe. God gives us the wisdom to think for ourselves. Some of us, we just don't make good choices. And we end up paying heavy consequences for the choices that we make. That's, you know, that's basically what happens to a lot of us in this life. You know, this is only a short existence, you know, compared to eternity. This is a short existence, and there is no time in eternity. There is no time in eternity. Okay. Once this physical body dies and we enter eternity, you don't know whether you was in hell for 1 hour or dead for 10 minutes. Once you enter eternity, I'm just saying, if a person enters hell, you don't know if you've been down there for 1 whole hour or whether you've only been dead for 1 minute, because there is no time in eternity. That's what. I mean, this is a very short existence. We have to make good choices while we're here, while we still can, because, you know, I don't like living in this system myself. I don't. Do you actually think I enjoy living under a white supremacist culture? Like, do you actually think I enjoy that? Like, I don't enjoy living under a system of oppression. I know I'm being oppressed economically. I know I'm being oppressed socially. I know I'm being oppressed by unseen forces and seen forces, not just unseen forces, but also seen forces. I know this. And I know that the world is a corrupt place and it's full of injustice. There's inequality in the courts. There's no justice in the courts. No justice in the courts. Now, if I see this, you don't think God see this? Like, you don't think that the creators also see this? Okay, now I just got through writing an article, about 2 hours ago, talking about prophecies, talking about the book of Daniel. And it is written in the book of Daniel how the Ancient of Days will subdue the kingdoms on the earth. The Ancient of Days will subdue all the kingdoms upon the earth and judge the world, and the people of the Most High will possess the kingdom This is in the book of Daniel. The people of the Most High will possess the kingdom, will actually possess the earth. That's what I'm saying, will possess the earth. Because the Ancient of Days himself will subdue all the kingdoms of the earth and judge the entire world. And the people of the Most High will take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever and ever. This means that this system, this world system that we see today, all of this is going to be abolished. That's what it means. All of this, of what you see now going on, is going to be abolished at some point. At some point.
Hey, I'd like to say this real quick, and I was saying this. I mean, I've been telling Brother Talib when I was on his first radio talk show 11 years ago, and me being engulfed in the being raised in the Black conscious community, and I emancipated myself the same way where you had your how can I say, your transformation, only for you to return back and become powerful. I listen to what you're saying, and you're very strong in what you believe in. You're very articulate. I think you do a good job.
I mean, I try to be articulate, you know.
Well, no, you do. You just not. I know. I
don't have the gift of gab like Talib, but I like Talib. I'm sorry, like Talib, but I try to be articulate.
Gift of gab is whatever. Gift of gab is known today as somebody that knows how to speak very well. Actually, a person that has the gift of gab originally is somebody that has the ability to answer and explain things in an articulate way of controversial questions.
That's what it means.
Originally, that's what the gift of gab. Gift of gab now is a good salesman, a person that knows how, that has a good mouthpiece, that conversation rules the nation and what have you stuff. But keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing and believe it. But I think what Brother Guy was saying, he's more on a realistic aspect. Not to say that you aren't, but he's more of his grievance is about of religion today when in relations to Black people here in the United States. Is like what I say is that, and I understand that it's the choices that we make. The choices can be very beneficial for us to enrich and enhance the quality of our life, or like you said, the word detrimental. And in your cases, yours is nourishing, encouraged, and how can I say, it's cultivated by what you believe in, which is the Bible. In particular, which was exemplified by a man named Jesus Christ. I don't knock that. Yes. Some people want to say Muhammad, some want people, whatever. But I think, I'm just putting it together. Brother Guy just come to approaches that an African Americans, not you, but in general, Black folks are more of, how can I say, entrenched on the supernatural from somewhere out there to rescue us or get us out of our demise, rather than seeing the power that is already invested.
We have, exactly, that God gave us. That God himself gave us. God gave us some power.
No, what
we don't use the power that God gave us, though. That's the thing.
Right, and I'm just saying, like, I think Brother Guy is more of a person, is that, like somebody asked, I said, name me one thing out of all the religions, name me one thing a religion can do that is only exclusively that they can achieve a moral high ground that nobody can get unless, that's not religious, can't get. Name me one moral thing. But anyway, I asked a question, whatever. So I tell you what brother Guy was trying to say in relation to what you're saying. I know what you're saying, because all of us come from a religious background, and some are still religious. He was just saying more of like knowledge, understanding this world that we live in. Like me, I used to believe in the afterlife, and I used to be mad at white supremacy. I was obsessed with it. Everything was predicated on race until I realized that I'm going to live in this body right here. And despite, when I teach my children Aset and my daughter Isis, and I teach my son Shaim, this is a mean world. It's unfair, but you better live understanding the language of the marketplace, of the realities of the world that we live in, and know how to navigate and do things and understand the language and to live. That's why I always say to live your life now. I understand white supremacy is around. I understand that it's unfair. There's a lot of injustice, and I do try to still help particular black folks. But what I try to do is I try to incite them and inspire them to empower themselves and reconnect themselves back to nature. And then when you do so, you can deal with things more realistically. So now when I go back and study religion, because I realize the more you hold on to these supernatural beliefs, the more it's going to resist you as you get older. All these superficial ideologies, as you get older, the more it's going to seem like the world is set up against you, that you got to prove your point. So my thing is reality. And understanding the myth of the Bible, the myth of the characters. Once I understand the myth of the characters, I understand it's the myth of the human spirit. I understand that history, real contemporary modern history, is speaking about the history of the physical flesh. So therefore, I'm going to enjoy.
What do you mean by the myth of the spirit? The myth of the spirit body. What do you mean by that?
The myth of the spirit is that there's no way, no scientist, even though I'm a very scientific dude, you can't quantify love. You cannot quantify how can I say it, my passion for my daughters. We can't do that scientifically. These things are arbitrary. So I use these concepts of the spirit. For example, when I made a video when I'm speaking to my brother who's a Hebrew Israelite, good friend of mine, who's living in Jamaica, and what's that? Oh, and my other brother.
Like, is he a real Hebrew? Is he like a real Israelite? I'm sorry, Israelite.
He's a Hebrew. He's a Hebrew. I don't sit there and try to determine who's a real.
I mean, Christian. No, because I asked the question. I asked the question because them the Jewish people think that they the biblical Hebrew Israelites and all that. And I mean the white European Jewish people. But they're not actually the original peoples of the Bible. They're not the original peoples of the Bible. I
was a correct student of Dr. York, and I believe that stuff that black people were the first. I mean, of course, black people were the first people on the planet Earth. But I used to think all that stuff, the all mixed with black and all that kind of stuff. I believe that the children Israelite. But when I hit the reset button, and Talib know what I went through, I hit the reset button and I learned to see the challenge of the 21st century. Hold on. The challenge of the 21st century that goes across black folks, any other scholars, white folks. The challenge of the 21st century are not people that are illiterate, that don't have the ability to read or write. It's the challenge of the 21st century are people that have the ability to read or write because they don't have the ability to unlearn, to relearn. They're stuck. They're stuck on dogma and they're stuck on impotent, bankrupt stuff. So what I did is metaphorically speaking, I resurrected myself. I found my Christ when I was in my crisis. I found my breakthrough.
But do you know that there would be a physical resurrection one day?
Well, that's arbitrary.
You know that there would be a physical resurrection one day. Do you know that? Do you know that you would be physically resurrected to be judged in the last day?
Just like I said about love.
Do you know that?
Lady.
I'm just saying, there's a physical resurrection also. You saying you physically resurrected? Did you say you metaphorically resurrected yourself? Or physically resurrected yourself? Did you say you metaphorically resurrected yourself or what?
Lady, those things, again, those are arbitrary.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you metaphorically resurrected yourself.
No, metaphorically. Just the same when you go to the lodge. We do things symbolically. Okay. When we get in, when we're inside of an order.
But there will be a physical resurrection as well. That's the point I was trying to say.
I don't know that. I don't know that.
That's all I was trying to say. There will be a physical resurrection as well.
Can I?
I don't know that.
That's all I was trying to say.
I don't know that.
Can I say something?
Okay, well, we all will be judged in the latter day.
Can I say something?
A Muslim can say the same thing, and then the Jewish person say something, and then another religion from all over the world can say to make the same claim.
The ancient Egyptians,
a lady can say that they seen Jesus Christ, and then what happens to a person when they say they seen Muhammad? Right? What if somebody says they seen the prophet Moses or they seen Christian arrive to them? That's the reason why I don't knock what people do. I don't sit there and determine whether it's wrong. or right and wrong in their theology, because that's like arguing with somebody's personal color. Well, I like the color purple. No, you should like the color brown. No, I think the color purple is better because because I grew up in the environment in Cleveland, Ohio, that I like the Cleveland Browns, so I like the color brown. Well, you're wrong. You should like the color purple because I'm from Minnesota. See, that's preference. Those are personal preference. You can't put your hands on those kind of things. The same way you can't do that scientific. Somebody wants to believe that we're going to be resurrected and come and make the transition from Akri or Yamakayama, or be resurrected from the second death and all that kind of stuff. I don't knock that. But you cannot prove those kind of things. That's the reason why you have to rely on faith. So therefore, I deal more of a realistic aspect now. I've been through those schools. I don't say that with arrogance. I don't say that with pride. I've been through those schools. I've been through that. I know where it's at. But I came more in tune with reality. And I'm upset about what's going on with black people. I'm a humanistic, I'm a secular person, and I don't like what's going on with all people. But if we were living back in the ancient Kemet days, us black folks, we bitching and whining about how the pharaohs were mistreating us. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I just went off of it.
I'm gonna make a statement.
Oh, my bad, brother. My bad. Go ahead, bro.
It's something that Guy said and it's something I was trying to say earlier when she cut me off, but we do believe and give too much credit or whatever to the outside force. She said we've been under racism, white supremacy, oppression. And I believe we oppress, suppress, depress, full coat press, any kind of press you can think,
right.
Any kind of press you can think of. But then she said all of this is just going to be torn down. And that's like waiting on somebody to come tear something down for us. It's something we can do. And see, for me, I'm race first, right? And I ain't ashamed to tell nobody that. I know you said you ain't about the race, but not that you're not about black people, but race thing. No, I'm race first. Ain't no if, no ands, no buts about it.
I respect it.
Racism, ain't nobody gonna ever hear me complain about someone being racist or racism. It doesn't bother me at all because I'm racist. And the only way we gonna ever be able to do anything in this system, we gonna have to become racist. And racist don't mean I have to hate people. Racist mean we have to put ourselves first and work together, drop the petty differences. Like the lady, she's strong in her beliefs, right? Her beliefs don't bother me at all. If it make her a better person, let it make her a better person. I don't believe it. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a religious person, but I'm not gonna knock her. You know, but I will knock. But we have to stop waiting on an outside force to do something for us. We have to do it. We have to do it.
And I just want to add on something too. I just want to add on something too, brothers. That what have Jesus have done for black people, that and why we put Jesus as a blueprint to save black people, where that the brothers that actually put their lives on the line for black people don't get credit. We should be worshiping Dr. King and Malcolm X and all these brothers who put their lives on the line. I haven't. And then when I asked the sister, have you saw a visual? Because she said I had a vision. That means he revealed himself. She said he didn't know how he didn't know how he looked. So she didn't know who she was hugging. So you give a faceless man all this glory and this credit, but what about the black people that sacrificed their lives? And we don't worship them, we don't praise them enough, and then we don't even follow these brothers that put their lives on the line.
Man, well said.
We sit there, we'll talk about them, but we'll put this mythical, the supernatural person that no one ever seen on a pedestal. I don't think that's fair. And that is not right. You know, we should worry about the people that have existed, that we can see, that we can pull up, that the evidence are there. There's no evidence of no Jesus. There's no evidence of no Moses. Let's worship, let's praise the people that paved the way. That's all I'm saying. And so we can move forward.
Well said. Damn well
Speaking of moving forward,
well said.
A whole lot of here.
All right, brother. I'm glad you.
Good.
I appreciate y'all, man.
Yeah.
Brother Bakari, that was well said, man. What you said too, and Guy, man, that was a good way of saying it,
Thank
Brother
you, man. Hey, man,
Bakari.
send me a friend request on Facebook, man. I wouldn't mind having you on my channel sometime.
Oh, by all means, man.
Yeah, I would like you to have on my channel too, my brother.
I've been knowing Angel for a long time. I don't know how to find y'all on Facebook.
God in Hollywood Jr. On YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'll send you just you can look me up on Facebook too. Just God in Hollywood.
I got African Supremacy. I see him. I watch his video, what have you. And do you? Okay, I'll find you and what have you, brother.
Right.
Yeah, my channel is Brother Bakari, but I don't like saying my government name all on air.
No problem.
My Facebook name is I gonna tell you. My Facebook name is Lester Ayers, and if you send me a friend request, I accept it, and you can do a show. You can come on my channel, man. We can do this again. Nice meeting you, Alberta. It was wonderful speaking with you.
Yeah, she had.
Yeah, we got to be careful, bro. You just brought something up, man. Giving out our government names.
Yeah.
Do you know if I do a Google search with my government name, guess what comes up as an alias?
Oh wow.
African Supremacy.
Yeah.
I'm finna try that right now. You said that. I'm finna Google my damn name right now.
The other day, I was just curious because I know you can look people up, and so I typed in my name or whatever, and yes, that comes up as an alias. So I'm under watch. If I do anything suspicious, they're gonna try to tie it into I'm a part of some hate group.
Mm-hmm.
Letting y'all know, man.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Okay, I'll peep y'all out there.
All right, we out of here, y'all.
Hey, man, all my old phone numbers, email, and everything came up on this damn thing.
Wow.
Google my name, man, my old emails and every damn thing, dude.
Damn.
All my old phone numbers and every damn thing. All right, peace out.
All right, peace and love, y'all.
Get y'all on the flip.
Yep.
All right.
Was this